Okay, today we are going to talk about Phase 3 of the Heroic Sith Raid and a variation of the Chex Mix team. Now, Chex Mix was a name given to them by McMole when the raid originally started, so we got to give credit to credit where credit is due. Some people use Greedo, and he can work really well as well. I use Han. I also use Chewie, okay? But since not a lot of people have Chewie at 7-star, we're going to say you guys are going to use Chirrut instead. Now, one quick thing to remember. Some people just like to try to put something together, go in, do decent damage, and be done. Some people don't want to spend hours upon mods. But in Phase 3, when you use standalone, some of the offensive stats of each of the allies is going to be given to the person that is using standalone. When you do it with bounty hunters, and I'll do a video on that later with an aura lead, you want offense and all the other characters as much as possible, so she gets a bunch of it during standalone. So theoretically, if you would like to spend the time, give an offensive mod set to each character and give them offense in each of the primaries. But speed is important here. Okay, now there's only 2 characters I have that I state have to be absolutely at a certain speed. We're going to start with this. Traya has a base speed of 180. Okay, so there's 2 characters we're going to want to go as soon as she attacks. First things first. I got to get to our rebels here again. CLS. What do you want his speed to be? Well, Raid Han, no matter what speed he's at, is always going to shoot first in the battle because of his ability shoots first. And we're using Chewie. He's going to also shoot. He's also, because of guard, he's going to attack as well. Now, actually, I think sometimes he can work better with Chirrut because you want to leave as many sabers on the field as possible, preferably with Retribution, before you get standalone with Han. So I have CLS at a speed of 238, okay? 238, again, I'm just looking to make sure that he is above 180. Try to get him above 200, okay? I don't find that the order matters as much at the first 3 characters because CLS, what is he here for? He's here for his leadership ability to give the boost in stats. You get that extra counter chance, defense, offense. Actually, I haven't tried it with a wedge lead, but I think theoretically it could work as well. Now, like I said, I use Chewie. Most people don't, so I'm going to tell you the next alternative character to use. Rex would be fine, but I would say it's be Chirrut. Now, why are we going to use Chirrut, and what speed do we have Chirrut at? I have Chirrut at a speed of 220, which is fine for this, because you need him to use his As the Force Wills. Why do you need to use this? To give tenacity up, because you need to prevent debuffs from being spread to Chewie, or Han specifically, and Death Trooper as well. So when you give tenacity up, they're not going to be affected by debuffs. I'll explain what Chewie does for that anyway. Then as soon after Chirrut goes, you want Pow to go. Okay? When Pow goes, his only job, as you can see, I have him at gear 8 here. I'm not looking for him to do damage during the battle. I'm looking for him to give offense up. So Han can have his offense up before he uses standalone and goes to town. So then we have, and I have Pow at a speed of 230 as well. Okay, so him and Chirrut might go first. It doesn't matter as long as they go. So then you're going to have 3 characters, if you're using Chirrut, that are going to go, technically 4 because Raid Han's going to shoot first before Traya attacks. And then Traya is going to attack. And again, she has a base speed of 180. So as soon as she attacks, and sometimes you might have to restart the battle a few times before you get it exactly the way you want it. You want Death Trooper to have a speed of 179. So he attacks right after Traya attacks. Okay? He has a speed of, you don't want it faster than that. You don't want him attacking before that. Okay? It's at 179, and then he's going to use Terminate to get Death Mark. Death Mark is obviously going to allow Han to do that much more damage. And then, what speed do we want Raid Han to be at? We want him to be at a 178. I'm very particular about this. I want my speeds exactly 179 and 178. Some people change it around, but this is the way that I want it because you want him to go right after Death Trooper when Traya has Death Mark. And now what's going to happen if you have a lot of sabers, they have Retribution, Han's going to start going to town, and Traya's going to counter, or they're going to counter, and he's going to keep countering back. Now, I use Chewie instead of Chirrut, and the reason being is his guard ability, when given to Han Solo, the guarded characters can't be critically hit, immune to daze, and stun, and that's what Traya does big time. Having Han unable to be dazed, which works the same way with tenacity up or stun, allows him to continue going and going, because he's not going to be able to counter when he has daze, and he's not going to be able to counter when he has stun. So that's why I use Chewie, and yes, his speed is, 233. I try to have him attack a Force 8 saber with him. So if you have it set up right with the tenacity up, and you let them go, and then Death Trooper uses Death Mark, and then you go to Raid Han, and then you click on Standalone. I always use his big attack first. Don't use the buff. Don't waste any turns. Use his big attack, then use his basic attack, and she counters, and you're going to counter back, and she counters, and you're going to counter back, and eventually you're going to be doing a lot of damage. And you know what? For me, that's what I'm mainly looking for. After his standalone is done, yeah, I'll try to get a few extra hits in there, but the basic damage, the most damage you want and are going to do, is going to be done during Han's standalone. So we will go in and we will check this out. Also, before you get to standalone with Han, avoid hitting Traya at all costs, because when you hit Traya, her speed goes up. It changes her base speed to 180 to higher, and it can throw everything off. So focus on sabers. Hopefully they have foresight so you can avoid them and keep as many alive as possible, but try to avoid Traya as much as possible so she doesn't gain any bonus speed. I'm running a Chex mix team here. I'm going in with CLS, Chewie, who could be replaced with Chirrut, Raid Han, Pow, and Death Trooper. Now, what is the goal here? The goal is to let Pow get offense up, keep as many sabers alive as possible, with retribution preferably, so that when Han goes to standalone, they hit him and then he ends up countering. Okay, he can't be dazed with Chewie in here because of guard, which is nice. Now, we're going to hit just one saber. I didn't want to take any down, but that's the way it goes. I do not want to hit Traya. Okay, that's issue number one. We do not want to hit Traya. We don't want her to get a bunch of speed up on that. I'm just going to use a basic here. Okay, so now Pow's going to get to... Oh, geez, basic with Chewie. Just use that. Perfect. Now Pow's going to get to go. He's going to give his offense up, which is wonderful. Okay, don't care if they hit Chewie, because now here's where the magic happens, okay? We're going to give Death Mark, and now we're going to go standalone, and we're just going to start beating the crap out of her, okay? Good. Let her continue to counter, because we're going to keep countering back. Again, we can't gain days because of Chewie, so he's going to be doing just tons of counters here, staying under standalone, and he's going to be regaining health. Look at that, okay? Right now, okay, now he's out of standalone. But what's great about this is the purpose is served right now. I have effectively countered with Han so many times that I have done so much damage enough to get a few percent that I'm going to be able to register a decent score in this phase. Okay, now let's give some boosted stats. Some people wonder why I don't use that right away in standalone. It can go away so quickly. I want to make sure I do is probably the one time you hit her extra is going to make up for those boosted stats. Okay, so now let's just finish that saber off. Again, having Death Trooper is paramount because that Death Mark is what really leads all the damage to be being dealt. Let's get rid of you. Okay, they took out Han. Let's see. Nah, I'm just going to put it on auto. That's how quickly this can run. The reason you have Chewie is so that guard allows Han not to be dazed. Because if he's dazed, he is not going to be able to counter. Okay, so that's the biggest deal that we have. Now, people can use Chirrut to give tenacity up to make sure that doesn't happen. I find it works easier with Chewie. The attempt is over. How much damage did we get done? We got 2.8 million. Han got 2.384 himself. This is a pretty good run. It's a simple Chex mix team, and like I said, you can run it with Chirrut as well. Just a quick note, I stated that you wanted to have as many of the sabers as possible with retribution. That's false. You don't need retribution on the sabers. You just want to have as many sabers as possible so that when they attack Han, Han counters against Traya, and it doesn't matter if they have retribution or not. But let's take a quick look at what just happened, okay? we went from 57.73% to 50.43%. That's a 7.3% damage done. 7.3% decrease. The total damage done was 2,800,116. And what was that? Like a minute, minute 30, 2 minutes? Just like that. It's a pretty easy setup, guys. Again, remember at the beginning of the video, the speed I told you to put on certain characters. If you don't have Chewie, use Cheer to get that tenacity up. Sometimes that can work better because it prevents Death Trooper from getting staggered. Because when he gets staggered and gets hit, he's going to have to go... You're going to have to start over and do it again. And sometimes you just have to start over and do it until you get this set up right. But it is fairly simple once you have it set up. Just remember, tenacity up, offense up, then Treya's going to go, then Death Mark, and then Standalone with Raid-Han. It's pretty simple. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash the subscribe button, like the video, click the notification bell so you can be alerted to all videos that I post. Also, I'm going to leave a link to my Discord server and Patreon page in the description below. It would be great if you could check that out. They're both growing daily. And let me know what you guys think. Leave comments in the comment section below. Do you agree with me, disagree with me? Did I screw up? You know, was it too complex for you to understand? Because if it is, I want to know so I can fix it. Otherwise, peace out and may the Force be with you.